little bit crooked.
And then
it's a little bit crooked.
Hey guys, hello. And
Sunday.
happy day.
It's such a happy day, you guys.
It is such a happy day.
Oh, I'm still on a Pam high.
I know. I was thinking this is going to shift gears between what we were just talking about on our Facebook Live with Pam Russell from Perfectly Holistic, which was amazing. And I really, really loved that live. So if you guys don't follow us on Facebook, go back and follow us on Facebook. Go back and watch that. It was amazing and very resourceful. Lots of great information.
Oh my God.
And now jumping into cat food, which is what we have decided as our topic for this week's podcast. It's an exciting
topic, regardless of what you think. Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
It's a very exciting topic. So we're just going to jump right in. How about we jump right in?
You want to?
Why not?
Joanna.
Why not?
Joanna. Hey, Anna. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, Mary.
Yay,
Joanna.
Wasn't it so great to see Pam? Joanna.
Hey, Mary. Joanna.
Oh,
I'm funny.
You're on fire today.
I'm so funny.
Hey, Robin and Dana. Cheers, you guys. Happy Sunday.
Everyone. Thanks so much for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to jump right into the podcast because I'm hoping that we can try to keep it kind of concise.
Yeah.
But also there's so much information that we want to give, and
we'll do top lines.
Yeah, and a reason behind why this is a really important subject for us. As many of you guys already know, we're so passionate about cat food. So,
Tina said, so the lizard that my cat scared the crap out of me with isn't a good for food? I would say natural. Something maybe a little more balanced. Alicia ordered her
absolutely fine.
Health analysis. Oh, you guys, I'm so excited. Yeah, we could have talked to Pam all day long.
Oh my God, when you said we have to wrap up soon, I was like,
why?
What? We're close to an hour? What? How?
I know.
How could that even be? Yeah, so but there's much more that's coming with Pam Russell to all of you guys, all of our beautiful VIPs in the VIP group. We've got like a lot of good stuff that's going to be happening.
So excited. All right, I'm going to hit record. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
You got your little intro ditty left?
Yeah, I can do it.
What is it, number 39?
Mm-hmm. Welcome to episode number 0039 of Back in the Closet with the two crazy cat ladies. We are sitting in our closet. It's actually fairly warm in here today, so that we're sweating and drinking wine. And what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a little vodka soda.
Vodka soda, okay.
A little vodka soda.
So she's going for the hard liquor. I'm going for the wine.
I'm pouring it very light, though, because...
Yeah, well, I obviously didn't. I didn't actually mean to over-pour the way that I did, but I over-poured a little bit.
A large glass.
So so this may just last into the next event that we have on Sundays, because we have so many events on Sundays. But, guys, today's
we're super excited to be talking about cat food.
Yes.
This is a foundational topic, and I know that for a lot of people, it's like the bane of their existence, right?
Yes. And controversial when it comes into the medical field, right?
Conventional.
So, conventional into the conventional veterinarian field. Cat food is a hot topic, and it's
it is a hot topic,
and it's also just something that we feel after 15 years in the almost 16 now years in the pet health industry. The things that we have learned, the stuff and things that everybody should know when it comes to the foods that we're feeding our cats. We have to get out there. And I know we say it in bits and pieces everywhere, and we can lead you to other resources, and we always do. But when it comes down to it, we've got to talk about it. It's just one of our favorite topics because it's so important. It's so important, guys. Cat food matters. It matters. Food matters, right? We know that food matters to us as humans. Dog parents know that the food they feed their dogs matter to their dogs, their longevity of life, their overall health and well-being. And there is no difference when it comes to our cats. Kitties.
This is the thing,
and the power of food.
Food is a sensitive topic to me because I have had to I've really struggled with it for a number of reasons. Number one, we had some kibble addicts in our family, and it was very difficult to transition. There's just no easy way around it for some kitties. And number two, y'all, is that there's just no getting past the convenience factor when it comes to kibble.
Yeah.
None.
And we're not just going to talk about kibble today.
Hard.
Here's the thing. We're not just going to talk about kibbles. I want to talk about. I want to touch on every realm of the different layers when it comes to our cat food. So
can I touch real quick what you were talking about with dogs? That awesome study that was done that talked about only 13% of dog parents do not offer a diversified diet to their dogs. Meaning they add in fresh foods, they add in different proteins.
Or different brands. Different, they
only 13% of dog parents do not do that.
Do not
Cat
do that.
parents?
What that means, if you're doing the math,
13%,
87% of dog parents offer their dogs a diverse diet. They offer their dogs other types of food, not the same food every day for the rest of their lives.
Now, we know that there are many of us, especially in this community, that do offer a diverse diet to our cats. But in this particular study, understanding that there are 94 million cats in the United States just alone, cats didn't even register on the study at all, meaning not a single cat parent that they did in the study, and it was a robust test group.
Right.
None of them offered a diverse diet to their cats. So it just, to me, it's so exciting, y'all, because we already see the change that is happening just in this small community and the change that it makes to our kitties' lives, but it also really exemplifies how much more can be done to really help all cats everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because food is
we have to, basically what we're saying is we got to get with the show. We got to get with the program, guys.
Get with the program of the show.
Like, we got to get on the program. We got to get in that study, right?
Get in the game, y'all.
Get in the game when it comes to our cats. Now, when it comes to, actually, I just want to start by saying that why I'm currently very super passionate about this is because a couple weeks ago, we posted a question. It was like a Q&A, and it was like, do you believe that kibble helps the teeth of your cats?
Yeah.
And,
helps
clean their teeth. Does kibble, a dry food diet, help clean your cat's teeth? And the question was because actually many conventional veterinarians are taught this, and they believe this, and they teach that to their clients, right? So the cat parents, those of us, are like, oh, I should be feeding a dry food because it is going to help my cat's dental health. And then,
well, to that point though about education and just understanding the trickle down or regurgitated knowledge that people have, Becky asks, so does that mean that cat parents, because this study showed that there was not a diverse diet offered to cats at all in this study, so does that mean that cat parents are less educated when it comes to food/health?
And I think 100%. And that's specifically going back to last week.
The study showed that cat owners in general are more educated than dog parents. So it's really a matter of just connecting the dots.
Right. Well, this is what I'm saying. So last week in our podcast, we talked about many of the reasons why we felt so passionate about starting our company, right? And why we took the route of let's not sell products, let's start selling passion, let's start selling information, let's start telling people what we've learned along our journey. One of those reasons is simply because there is a lack of information. If you guys do a search, just do any kind of search on nutritional information for pets, and you will find a slew.
I love how you love that word so much.
I know.
It's
I don't know how to
spell
it. Slow.
But you know what it means.
Yeah,
and that's all that matters.
It's just a lot.
That's
you'll
good.
find a
you
lot.
Use it in the right context. That's good.
Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks, man. So you'll find a lot of information when it comes to dogs and dog health, and they call dogs pets. And there's usually, when you click on these links, you'll find a lot of information on dogs, and it'll talk about dogs, specifically dogs. You won't find anything on cats, and you're like, does that even pertain to my cats? I don't know.
Right.
And that's the thing, that the likely reason that 87% of dog parents feed their dogs more than just one food every day, for the same meal every day all the time, is because there's a lot of information out there. And that's what we want to be a part of, is this movement to get information out to cat parents too. And guys, a lot of it is the same fucking information.
Whoa, lady.
It's the same information.
There's some basics, and that's why food is such an important topic, exciting topic for us, because no matter what is going on in your cat's world, food is going to be a basic, a foundational thing.
Yes.
And there's some that, you were talking about just what we've learned in the last 15, 16 years. So many things come back to food, you guys. It's such an important topic. And I think that it's just time to take the bull by the damn horns and
watch your language.
I said damn. I didn't say the F word. Wow. Judgy Judgerton. I think that it's so exciting to, and so many of you guys here have done this, right? You've just taken that leap and you've gone through the transition. Dr. Karen Becker talks about what an incredible age it is for young cats, because cats can have a very addictive personality when it comes to foods, how important it is to diversify their diet right from the start. The minute they start eating solids, it's so important to give them that diversity, a species appropriate diet, different proteins, different textures, all that jazz.
Yeah.
And how it can be more difficult once they get older. But then shared her own testimony of how just recently 2 14-year-old kitties that she was able to transition off of a terrible kibble diet to a species appropriate diet.
Right.
But it took 9 months.
Yeah.
So it's just something that we've got to just grab the bull by the horns wherever we're at. It's never too late. And food can always make a big difference.
Real quick, did anybody else just get a picture in their mind of Adrienne with a bull and grabbing the horns and then being thrown up in the air? Like, have you ever? Yeah. Anyway, I think probably a lot of you guys did. So I want to start by saying that this came from a post that we posted about dental care for cats by eating kibble, how it's basically cleaning their teeth. And then we got that pushback from a beautiful, lovely, amazing friend and conventional veterinarian that we have a agree to disagree relationship
on this topic specifically.
On when it comes to food,
mm-hmm.
is basically the only one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to food, because our veterinarians are taught that they are actually taught by the big billion-dollar pet food industry, right? And unfortunately, often because there's so little resources out there for cat parents, we are also taught that, whether it's regurgitated by our veterinarian or it's taught to us by a commercial that we're seeing on television, because these multi-billion dollar pet food industry have a lot of money. They actually spend the majority of their money in marketing and not the ingredients and research. I use air quotes for that.
Right, but it's always important to know the source. I think that, a lot of people, especially conventional veterinarians, will say, hey, the research shows this,
right,
this, and this.
Right. And we get the, and this is the pushback.
I want to know who paid for the research.
This is the pushback we got, right? So, and in fact, I reached out to the pet health community, many of them with pet nutrition degrees, many of them veterinarians, and they all came back to us with all the skewed research too. And when you read the research, and I was reading through it, and I was like, what? This does say that kibble helps cats' teeth. And I'm reading through, it's kind of like for the average person.
The hypothesis is
it's just a difficult
crunchy,
read because
it helps to knock off tartar. Because it is crunchy, it helps to knock off tartar.
Right, but when you get down to the end of that of these studies, it has to say who it's sponsored by, and they're sponsored by Iams. They're sponsored by Pills.
Smuckers.
They're sponsored by the billion-dollar pet food industry. So just like politics right now, guys, we were talking yesterday about how when
it's hard to know what to believe.
You're trying to look for like, I want to know the real things. When you're looking for what you want to find, you'll find it. It's everywhere. Everybody else has created something that is going to align with what you want to know, not necessarily what is the best for your pet, right? So calming down from that.
Wow, yeah. Take a deep breath.
So our next, and actually what everybody in the pet health world was talking about is, and still does talk about, which is why I wrote a blog on it this week, is about common sense. When it comes to feeding our cats, guys, we've got to tap in to a little bit of common sense, right? So the billion-dollar pet food industry teaches our veterinarians that one diet, in fact, one of our beautiful friends and co-workers here was told this week that her cat needs to be on this prescription diet for the rest of his life. He's 2 years old for the rest of his life. He needs to be on his prescription diet. And they teach us this, right? The $1 billion pet food industry teaches our veterinarians. Our veterinarians teach us because that's what they think is correct. It's not that they have some lack of it's not that they're trying to hurt your pet, your cat. It's that they have a lack of knowledge when it comes to nutrition for our cats. And unfortunately, because of that skewed science, they're unable to use common sense sometimes. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there. I feel like they're unable to use common sense because they're only looking at science. So it's like, oh, well, for sure, we should definitely feed our cats the same diet that's full of carbohydrates, full of fillers, full of 3D and 4D meats, which means diseased, dying, disease, dying, decaying, and something else.
Or it maybe decomposing. I can't
decomposing remember. Meats, basically the meat as obligate carnivores, which our felines are, we're feeding them in these big commercial diets, the meat that is not fit for human consumption. Right. Well, so what we as humans in the meat market, when you go to your grocery store, all of that has to be human grade meat,
right?
Or you can't sell it, right? You can't sell it to humans. Right. But that leftover meat, all that stuff of the dead cows and the dead chickens or the diseased chickens.
How do we utilize the waste?
Right.
And I want to point out, for people on our podcast might be asking this question as well. Becky asked, but can't there be successful $1 billion pet food companies that do good for our cats? Are they all bad? And that is a great question. I think someone else mentioned earlier
one day,
that something like Science Diet started out with the best of intentions.
Oh, for sure.
And then this is why we're so adamant about maintaining knowledge of the source of our foods. Because, for example, I can cry easy, and Blue Buffalo commercials kill me. The whole love them like family, feed them like family. I cry for a totally different reason. I want to feed Blue Buffalo so bad. But that's what I'm saying. When you recognize, and it's not that they have for a different reason. It's not that they have nefarious intentions. And when you look into their websites, and it's not that it's nefarious. It is literally an industry that has been monetized to utilize the waste from human consumption in a way that does not benefit the overall health of our pets. And that is why a film like Pet Fooled is foundational to understanding how this industry kind of works and being more informed to make common sense decisions. So it's not that I feel like they're all bad. It's that they're not doing all good for our pets. It wasn't that long ago that, the question is, why would you feed your cat anything other than cat food? And we all know what that means, right? The stinky little bag you open up with the kernels of the different
can or the whatever.
Right? It's cat food. That's what you give a cat. Not recognizing the biological nutritional requirements for our cats are way different than that generalized cat food.
Yeah. So let's jump into just a few of the when it comes to ingredients, right? So our cats are obligate carnivores. What that means is that they require animal protein. The majority of their diet should be animal protein in order to survive, right? By obligate, that means like, and I think they said this on Pet Fooled. I can't remember. It was Dr. Becker somewhere. But like a worm is obligated to eat dirt, right? Soil. Is that what it?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's like the nutrients in it. Like you cannot give a worm
a piece of meat. You cannot give an herbivore you can't give an herbivore a big chunk of meat, and that's what you feed them and expect them to survive. They have to have those herbs in order to survive. They can't eat the opposite of what their bodies are meant to eat. So when it comes to our cats, it's no different. They're obligate carnivores. We need to have meat. When you're looking at the ingredients in your food and in the cat food that you're feeding, and the first few ingredients contain cornstarch, wheat, gluten, rice, potatoes, peas, like
Guys.
like when this is what we're looking at when we read our cat food ingredients, and God, I hope everybody reads the ingredients. In the cat
I sure
food.
did
When
for the first 10 years.
We
being a
didn't.
cat parent.
We didn't. Let's say
I
that.
I read the nice little
The picture on the front,
picture on the front,
which is
with
not regulated.
the
by
pretty
the way.
pictures. Yeah.
Or very, very little regulated. They can have blueberries on the
Even if there's less than 1% of blueberries.
even if it's the very
1%.
last ingredient, which means
Right.
they took that huge 40-pound bag and put a half a blueberry in there.
Well,
And then they're like, there's blueberries in this.
right, but when you look at the
diet.
bag, you think, oh my God, right? So we should all be reading our ingredient list. And to Catherine's point here live on YouTube, she's talking about it's like with human beings eating McDonald's every day. Sure, we're going to survive, but are we going to have are we going to be healthier? Go watch Super Size Me and see what that does to the body
Right.
in just 1 month of doing it. So the bottom line is that our cats and our dogs have the ability to be able to scavenge when needed.
Yeah.
So they can actually tolerate an incredible amount of nutritional abuse.
Yes, nutritional abuse is absolutely a thing that we unknowingly as cat parents, and we did for so many years. In fact, we never switched up the diet for
Never.
our cats. Like when we learned about pet food ingredients and where they came from, we went to the best of the best kibble.
Ever.
Because it was also very convenient, and we didn't know that it was bad. So we went to the best of the best kibble.
We would spend $75 in a bag and be like, well, we should maybe try this formula, just switch it up a little bit. They didn't like it. So
we went back.
Never mind.
And we fed the same thing over and over, every meal, every day. Ours was free fed. So
and we wonder
how convenient. Cats are, we could go out of town. It was like, we don't need open the toilet, fill up put it out extra
fill up
water.
the sink.
We can go out of town for a couple days because all we got to do is leave out enough food.
Tupperware full of kibble all over the house.
In plastic containers, and which is just being being rancid with bacteria, and then also being exposed to oxygen for so long that it's just going rancid, and we didn't know, and we didn't know. So
right.
That's what we did. And that's why it's so important that we let people know, that we start to teach people. And that's why our motto is learn, share, and grow, right? Because we learned the hard way. And now we want to share that information with you guys so you guys can also learn these lessons and make changes as needed.
But here's a common sense question. How many cats do you know of? How many cats have you had? How many cats are you aware of that have actually died of old age?
Yeah. Gosh.
Instead of diabetes, kidney disease, hyperthyroidism, IBD, diabetes, these are the diseases we know as humans. These are the diseases caused by overly processed, non-nutritious food. And yet we're thinking that feeding this cat food, kibble or processed canned foods.
Right, or even going back to dental disease. Like, here's the thing, and this is what I'm saying when it comes to common sense. The studies are showing that kibble actually helps the teeth of our cats. That's what the studies show. That's what the scientific studies are showing. However,
on the podcast,
our cats have
just
only
so you know,
been
that was
eating
air quotes. That
air
was her
quotes.
that was her voice for air quotes.
The skewed studies. However, if you look at the history of how long our cats have been eating kibble, processed foods,
mm-hmm.
It's not actually as long as what it is with dogs.
Right.
But since they've been eating kibble diets, the overwhelming majority, I would venture to say, I put money on it, it's at least 99%. It might be more when it comes to cat parents feeding their cats a dry food only diet.
Right.
So, however, when you look at the studies of how many cats deal with dental disease, how much dental disease is an epidemic, how much diabetes is an epidemic, how many cats in their older ages die of kidney disease, all of this, and the common sense isn't connecting it to the food, but the kibble, the dry food cleans the teeth. It's just so happens because of the genetic disposition of our cats that they end up with, because they all came from the same place, right? And it's just the genetic disposition of our cats that they now deal with dental disease in an epidemic number.
Dana here on YouTube just said that's like saying, that kibble cleans the teeth. Dana said that's like saying that hard candies are great for our teeth.
Right. And we know that it's not. We know that it's not. And when it comes specifically to the teeth or any of these other things, again, going back to the obligate carnivore, our cats are not designed to eat potatoes in the wild, right? If they are left on their own, they're going to try to find a mouse. They're going to try to find a rabbit, a squirrel, a bird. They are going to hunt their prey, and they are going to eat a carnivore or a carnivore diet, right? They're going to eat the meat. That is what their bodies need. That's what they go for. They're not like, oh, well, there's a bird. I could get it, but this potato is a lot easier and it's kind of growing in the ground. I'm just going to dig it up and eat it. Right. No, because their bodies tell them that that's not what they need. So, and this is carbs, right? These are carbs, these potatoes, this corn, this soy, this, all these starches and carbs, which convert into sugar in the body, are supposed to help
cause inflammation,
are supposed to help the dental health or the kidneys. It's not.
Well, this is a great point. Marilyn said, hi, Marilyn, I love you so much. She said, pretty pictures on the front of bags are so important. Rolling my eyes to the back of my head. I think that that's something that every cat parent should just put in their head. Yeah. Is when you see something that's like, oh my God, I want that for my kitties. That looks so good. Take that. There is a really good chance the prettier the pictures are in front, the glossier that bag is, the more money they put into marketing and not into those ingredients. So flip that bitch over, read that ingredient panel, and see how many of those ingredients that are so prettily pictured on the front actually show up in that. And I love Rodney Habib for saying this. If you ever just want to know where the majority of your ingredients are in a pet food, any pet food, is go find salt.
Yeah.
In the ingredient list.
The salt divide.
The salt, it's called the salt divide. Anything after salt is less than 1% of any serving
due
in that
to
bag.
AFCO guidelines. So here in America,
but allowed to be put as the pretty picture on the front of the bag.
Correct.
It's really outrageous. So they're not getting any kind of nutrition. Understand that
it's a
less than 1% is not going to give them any new kind of nutritional value, and that is where you'll find the blueberries or the antioxidants or the things. That
I'd like to also give you guys another tip if you don't know this. So, and I learned this because my dad used to work in a pet food manufacturing plant, which is called a rendering plant, where they take all the trash, the roadkill, the disease-dying animals, and they put them into the big machinery. Do you ever wonder where
horses, cows, goats, any of these agricultural animal
product, like, oh, that could be a raccoon from the side, so you know. And it was. And that's why my dad stunk so bad. And that's why I had to move out of the house at age 17 for a short amount of time until his job so that I would move back in. True story. However, and I didn't actually care about, I didn't even think about pets at that time. I just couldn't stand the smell of the job of what he was doing. And my mom was hosing him off before he came in. This is how gross pet food is. But I do want to say, here's another thing that many pet parents don't know. So we always say you want to see meat as the first ingredient, right? You always hear that. You want to see meat as the first ingredient. The thing is that you don't want to see meat just as the first ingredient, but the second ingredient, the third ingredient, the fourth ingredient.
That's true.
The fifth ingredient is what you want to see, because this is how it works. Little tidbit of information. You take a chicken, and this is per FDA guidelines. This is how it is allowed to be. They weigh it, right? So it's all so the ingredients in any pet food label has to be in order of weight of the product, right? Which is why we're saying after 1% with that salt, and you have that little blueberry down there, it's actually nothing in there.
Becky asks, so cats can eat blueberries? There are antioxidant properties within blueberries that people add to the pet food.
Yeah, but I mean, a half a blueberry is going to do nothing for your cat. Doesn't matter anyway. Everything's been cooked out.
But I wouldn't freak out
food.
If my cat ate a blueberry.
No, but everything's been processed out it's void of any antioxidants or anything.
Live nutrition
once it's been cooked, and that's the key here, because we take chicken as the first ingredient, but rice is the second ingredient.
This is how they get away with it.
This is how they get away with it, because they weigh it when it's wet. when it's just been brought in because off the street, off the road, from the farm, whatever it is, they weigh it then, and that's the weight. That's how they can put it as the first ingredient. But once they put it in the food and they cook it to over 400 degrees or over 180 even, but over, or 118. But they don't. They cook it to 400 degrees because they have to kill all of that. They have to do their best to kill all of those pathogens. It's coming from the dead, horrible meat that they're putting into the foods. Once they cook it to that certain degree, now that chicken that can be listed as the first is actually way down here on the list because it's lost all of its moisture, right? Because every body is made of mainly moisture. So once we cook it, we basically dehydrate it. And now that chicken is it's not even existing. It's almost not existent.
It's almost non-existent
in the cat food that we're feeding. But that rice isn't really changed when it's cooked up to 200 degrees or 400 degrees. It's not really changed. So now your cat is actually eating more rice, more potatoes, more cornstarch than they're actually eating chicken, even though chicken is the first ingredient.
They're allowed to list it. Right. Which is why, like Jay said, just to go back to that, circle back, is that I didn't know you were going to get so ramped up. I was so excited when we were talking.
I get ramped up.
I know, but it's really an exciting topic, regardless of Jay's blood pressure right now. It really is. That you want to see a reminder. We want to see real meats, not byproducts, not meals, listed as the first 3, 4, 5 ingredients in any food that we feed our kitties, any processed food, which is why we're such huge fans of species appropriate diets. But here, my other second,
which is why we're fans of. No, but what we are fans, it's not what is why we're fans of, but we are huge fans of species appropriate diet. And by species appropriate, we mean appropriate for the species. So an obligate carnivore should be eating fresh, awesome meat. The lizard, they should be eating fresh meat, that bird, that mouse. Our cats' bodies know what they need. And we teach them as domesticated cats what food is. So if we are feeding our cats a highly processed, very dry diet, even wet food. I'm sorry. I know it's better than dry food all day, every day, but because it's got the moisture in it and they need that. But look at the ingredients. Look at how that is going to help our bodies, right? So for instance, I'm just going to give this. And when it comes to wet food, the wet foods that we feed, and the and fresh food, right? So to me, it would be or processed food. Like wet food is still processed, but let's talk about dry food versus wet food. So a dry food diet is going to be void of so many ingredients and very high in starch and it has to be because they can't hold it into a little piece of kibble unless it has a high amount of carbohydrates. No live nutrients, right? None. And then, but we go to a wet food diet, also no live nutrients, but they are maybe better ingredients. Maybe
we at least have the moisture then.
I just lost it. Fuck.
It's the second time.
I'll put this as explicit. No, wait. I was right there. Okay, so going back to McDonald's, talking about McDonald's or talking about something that is, so highly processed. I got something that's so highly processed and we know is not good for us, but we're going to eat it anyway. That's what we're potato chips, right? Like, let's eat potato chips for the rest of our lives. That's what we can call a dry food diet, in my opinion. But we might go to a good quality wet food. And to me, what that is the bags of broccoli that we eat in the freezer. Still processed. It's broccoli,
lost a lot of their
but
nutrients.
It's not fresh broccoli.
Right.
But it's lost a lot of ingredients. It's got a lot of preservatives in there.
Far more nutrient deficient than something you pick right out of the garden. And
correct. Right. Correct. So we're looking at like a wet food versus a dry food. We know that, I was like, oh, that's so healthy. Let's eat some frozen broccoli. And it's delicious. One of my favorite foods. I get it. I mean, fresh broccoli is better, but if I'm in a pinch, I throw in frozen broccoli to anything.
Right, it's been frozen.
Heat it up and eat it as is.
Right. I want to. On your point though, we were just talking about rendering plants and the kinds of food. If you've ever wondered where pet food comes from, y'all, if you have not yet watched Pet Fooled, please take it upon yourself as a responsible cat parent to watch it, because that's exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about Jay's dad working at Griffin's back in the day, which is a rendering plant that provided a lot of food to Purina. So here is pedigree. Yeah. And Becky here wants to know, how many cease and desist letters do you guys get from these big cat food brands? LOL. Not a lot yet. We've
only had one. And it was unfortunately from a fresh food company. But
yeah,
that's
beside the point. But here's what I'm saying: when we think about the quality of food and the fact that why would we feed anything other than cat food, and people thinking that kibble is safer, as I did. Kibble is safer than feeding our cats a species-appropriate raw meat diet. I was so scared of raw meat. I want you guys to ask the common sense question and do the research yourself. How many fresh foods, species-appropriate fresh food recalls have there been? And how many kibble foods have been recalled? And then when you look at what goes into the kibble foods, you will understand why we have so many recalls for that. And if you're, I would even look up rendering facilities near me. Do that, then go to check out their little satellite imagery on Google Earth and have a look at their bloody parking lots. Just be real about it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is one of these things where but the transition for me from kibble to wet food was hard because the babies wanted kibble and I wanted to give them kibble. And then from wet food to raw, and even we were feeding some kibble at that time, from wet and kibble to raw was scary to me, even though I logically understood that this was more, this is what our cats biologically, nutritionally required. It was still hard and scary to me to transition. This is why it's so important for us to ask those common sense questions, to do that common sense research, to look at the truth that is out there for all of us to find. And it really helps motivate through transitioning to making better decisions and I'll even say this, we shared last week, so it's not a big secret. We went through bankruptcy. We understand what it is to, split that nickel at the end of the month and recognize where do we put our priorities.
Yep.
And yeah, it's not always going to be the best. We always do our best to forget the rest of what we can, but it's certainly going to inform better decisions. Yep. And it's going to eliminate a lot of bad decisions that we would have formerly made had we not known better. Because once we know better, we do better.
Yeah. And it's so
is Pet Fooled on Netflix? Sorry.
No, it's not anymore. It was, but now it's on Prime.
Thank you.
Prime. But it's a great film because the filmmaker of Pet Fooled, and that's FOOLED. So instead of pet food, it's Pet Fooled because we're being fooled by the pet food industry. Fooled. He actually has 0 pets, had no pets whatsoever. Heard about this, is a documentary filmmaker, and spent over 5 years, almost 6 years, diving deep into what is actually going on in the pet food industry. And he's still doing it to this day. He's coming back.
They are mad at him. They are mad at him.
But he spent all of his time coming up with real information. He didn't care. And we've talked to him. He stayed here at a house. We've had sleepover parties. After he came out with this, who are you? Let's hang out.
We need to, yeah.
And he is, he spent all of his time just trying to get to the truth. And that's what his goal was, right? Cole Harrington. He just wanted to get to the truth, find out what it is that's actually going on, because he realizes that, a lot of people that think that everything's just a conspiracy theory. I don't really need to worry about that. That just sounds like a conspiracy theory. There's a lot of shit that goes on that's not a conspiracy theory. It's actually a money-driven, industry that doesn't really care about what's really going in to. Right. They have very minimal guidelines to meet, and they could do that in the cheapest way to make the biggest profit.
But
and that's the pet food industry.
Not just blame the people that take advantage of the fact, and here's where the root of the issue is to me.
Okay.
The fact that we live in a society where people have a 5-second attention span. And they are very happy, whatever it is. It's like, what is that thing? It's like farts. We all like
Farts?
our farts. We all like our own brand, don't we? Right? Like people always find
The
what
smell
they,
of our own brand.
right, but politics is like that. Pet food is like that. We all like our own brand, don't we? You know,
Yeah.
whatever we feel comfortable with, whatever we want to know is what we find.
Yeah.
And I think that this is where this community is already being a change maker for their cats in this way.
Yeah.
This isn't about regurgitating something that we found on a 5-second clip on the 6 o'clock news because someone did get a cease and desist letter and they gave all the airtime to Purina because they would never want to do anything that would harm. How dare they? That's what we hear. That's what we, not to mention the fact that right after that anchor is done talking, here comes an awesome Purina commercial that keeps that anchor on the air. Are we so blind that we cannot see past the common sense? So it's up to us. These people that are taking
Past the common
advantage
sense?
of
Cannot use our common
these
sense.
people that are taking advantage of the fact that they can make billions of dollars
right.
by just saying something are actually taking advantage of the fact that
They're
we
taking
as a
advantage
society
of us,
have a 5-second attention span and are too busy to do any
which
digging
is why they can take
ourselves.
advantage of us.
But it's our responsibility. If
Correct.
we were not
Yep.
damn lemmings, there would not be this opportunistic
Oh,
exploitation.
100%. Yeah. If we didn't watch the
In my
news,
opinion.
if everybody wasn't tied to the news, the negative news, then the news would go under or they would do something different. Same goes with the pet food industry. If we didn't just continue to buy into their marketing schemes, if we understood more about what our cats actually need, if we didn't buy their foods, they would have to succumb to a better food, better ingredients.
They would have to
But we
rise to a
continue-
higher standard.
They have to, yeah.
That's why I think that even this is off topic, but I think that we have
And
so
I
many
think
more.
slowly, like a lot
It's
of
happening.
them, a lot of them
You
are.
see them now. Now they have raw kibble.
Oh, Jesus
Right?
Christ.
They're trying to cater to the
No, that's another marketing
market,
scheme.
but they're
because you
trying
can't
to
have
cater
raw
to
kibble.
marketing
That's like an
trends.
oxymoron.
They're trying to cater to marketing trends where, like, we started this whole. I know we're getting way off topic and we're basically out of time.
We're not
But
out
we
of
were talking about
topic.
how dog parents, 87% of dog parents, offer their dogs a diverse diet. Every single kibble company out there understands they've got to be able to produce
Several.
what the market wants.
Right.
So that's why we have such clever marketing going on. To Heather's point here, and I'm just going to say this because I want to be clear about this. Heather just asked, did Adrienne just compare politics to farts? And yes, I did.
For sure.
We all
For
like.
sure.
What is the movie that's from?
I have no idea.
Mike Myers. He's like, we all like our own brand, don't we?
Oh, that was from Sketch or Screech or
No.
Sketch. Yeah.
I see Mike Myers in my mind.
I know, but he was
the
the
big,
voice.
fat, farty
He was
guy.
the voice of the donkey.
Nope, that's Shrek.
Shrek. That's it.
I
It was
don't think
Shrek.
so.
We
No,
all
I
like
think
the
it's-
smell of our own brand. Yeah, it was Shrek.
I don't know.
We'll
You guys
look it
can
up.
set us
We'll
straight
look it
on
up.
that.
You look it up. Tell
Well,
us. Let us
yeah,
know.
just-
Leave a comment. Subscribe to our podcast, guys.
Austin Powers. Thank you. It's Austin Powers,
Oh, maybe.
not Shrek. Mike Myers was in Shrek, but it's Mike Myers and Austin Powers as the fat guy who's like, we all like it. He's in his towel.
Oh, yeah,
We all like our own
Yes,
brand,
you're
don't we?
correct. Yeah.
All
yeah,
to say
yeah.
that we all look for, many of us find what we want to find. And I really feel like that's the way it is with pet food. If I'm feeding
And I
something,
think
I'm
that
going to
what
feel defensive.
Well, but here's what we need to do as cat parents closing up. I feel like we personally need to do more research. And I would say this in politics too. Do more research. Don't just look
Let's
for what
not
you
get that
want
off
to
track.
find. Look for what might be. Actually,
Yeah.
look on both sides, right? And we do this. We have continued to do this. We always do this. I read
It's not just about pet food for us.
so much science
Know your source.
on I want to know. Like, no, I want to know. This veterinarian was sending me tons of links, and I was like, want to know, got to know, want to read this research, got to read this research, find out where it came from, who sourced it, who sponsored it. I want to know, does it actually? I mean, my common sense tells me no. Kibble doesn't help. Feeding my cat a bunch of sugar is not going to help their teeth. But
you've
I
never
want to
read
know
that
what
study.
research. I want to know what research. So I read a bunch of research, and then we go over to the very limited amount of research that's done, and I can say only this research over here that has been done and it is sponsored by the multi-billion-dollar pet food industry. To me, doesn't doesn't mesh with my common sense. So I want to know what's really going on.
Right.
I want to know what's really going on.
Well, and let's wrap it up on this note, is that I think it's so important, because this is something that I struggled with. You put a 15-page research paper in front of me, and I'm going to feel, no, I don't necessarily feel like I'm understanding everything. I get some of the basics, right? Like, I know that you're a bigger research junkie than I am, but I think that when it comes to our cat's food,
really hard to read.
This is a great reminder for all of us to feel empowered as cat parents, to do that research, to spend that extra time, and to be reminded that we are our cat's only advocate sometimes. And while it is so important for us to have a veterinarian that we can communicate with, it's really important for us to have different resources available. We had that great interview with Pam Roussel today. There are different medicines out there. There's homeopathy. There's different modalities that can be so helpful. It's not just all in some conventional medicine box.
Right.
It's our responsibility to take more than 5 minutes, to stretch past that 5-second attention span that so many of us have, to do that and feel empowered to make better common sense decisions on behalf
of our cats,
of our kitties.
Yeah. So with that, guys, sorry, it was kind of a ramble, but we did we kind of covered a little bit and a lot. And,
maybe a bit.
I don't know, but we went on for 46 minutes, so we need to close up because again, with that attention span when it comes to listening to podcasts. So we've done that research. And
can I just say how grateful I am to all of you for your attention span, hanging out with us this whole time.
We love you so much.
We love your babies.
Yes, and thanks for joining. If you guys have any comments, any questions, anything, you can always reach out to us. You can text us at 702-466-1150. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. Find us on YouTube. And we love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And
thanks for hanging out. Thanks for loving your babies, y'all.
Love you guys.
We'll see y'all soon. Bye, guys.